We need to avoid the danger of distance between leaders and members, both at the workplace and in the communities. Marikana also exposed the seemingly deep-rooted culture of violence and intimidation that still exists in our society. The Marikana tragedy served as a springboard for more wildcat strikes and protests, which were also marred by violence. These labor strikes were illegal, violent, and appeared designed to undermine collective bargaining in general, and the National Union of Mine Workers in particular. At a governance level, we need to reflect on the implementation of the mining charter, as mining companies should meet their obligations regarding the social and labor plans. We need to also reflect on the protests generally that have taken place in the country last year and the unacceptable violent nature thereof. It is important for the ANC to maintain ongoing contact with the masses at all times. We should explain to people when services are coming to them. And if there is going to be a delay, they also need to be told. We should engage our people more even on the question of unacceptable violence that accompanies some of the strikes and protests, which we condemn in the strongest terms. Thus, we must not lose sight of our political work, which is the lifeblood of political organizations. If we don't interact with people, don't talk to them, don't explain what is happening, then they take things differently or they make assumptions, and on the basis of the assumptions, they act. Comrades, the reason why the ANC is everywhere is because we must be in contact with people everywhere. They must know what are the challenges, what is that we are doing. We must not just end discussing among ourselves. We have discussed this issue before, that we need to understand the task of a branch. What is the branch supposed to do? It doesn't meet only when there are BGMs. It must meet to deal with the societal issues. That's a job of a branch. With regard to issues relating to governance, the state of the economy, in 2009, the fourth ANC administration took office and set out to implement the directives of Polokwane. The ANC government adopted 5 priorities, which were education, health, rural development, and land reform, the fight against crime, and creating decent work. The 2009 election manifesto, unpacking the resolutions of Polokwane, called for the reconfiguration of government to enhance delivery on the 5 priorities and general work of government. The manifesto said, the manifesto of the elections 1999, and I quote, "will ensure a more effective government, improve the coordination and planning efforts of the developmental state by means of a planning entity to ensure faster change. A review of the structure of government will be undertaken to ensure effective service delivery, unquote. Indeed, the structure of government was reviewed. Some new departments were created and others were reshaped to enhance delivery. Departments that were reconfigured were the following: Department of Rural Development and Land Affairs, to enable us to put into action our goal of changing the face of rural areas through meaningful socio-economic development initiatives. We decided to split agriculture and land affairs and created a Department of Agriculture, Fisheries, and Forestry. The focus on agriculture was prioritized to better support the commercial and emerging sectors. Fisheries are a critical part of the limited natural resources base of the country and would require special focus, especially with regard to regulation and oversight. Housing was changed to human settlements, a paradigm shift towards transforming our cities and towns and building communities with closer access to work, social amenities, including sports and recreation facilities. Mineral resources, energy, and tourism were made standalone ministries and were no longer clubbed with others to enable focus. We split basic and higher education as we realized that basic education had been not receiving as much attention as it should have previously. The international relations and cooperation configuration refined the mandate of the former Department of Foreign Affairs to include peace efforts and developmental cooperation on the continent. A ministry was established to deal with issues relating to women, children, and persons with disabilities. The ANC government also laid the foundation for a more performance-oriented government in 2009 with the introduction of the Ministry of Performance Monitoring and Evaluation in the presidency. There is already evidence that these changes are bearing fruit. For the first time, ministers signed performance agreements with the president and with their colleagues with whom they work on aspects of their work, which has increased levels of accountability in government. Ministers are assessed quarterly on their work, while on-site visits are also undertaken around the country for hands-on monitoring. The monitoring of management practices is starting to bear fruit in a number of areas too. For an example, the average time taken to fill a funded vacancy in national and provincial departments improved from 9 months in 2010 to 4 months in 2012. The responsiveness of departments to cases referred to them from Chapter 9 institutions and from the National Anti-Corruption Hotline has improved. Compliance rates have improved regarding important issues such as finalizing performance agreements for heads of department and submission of financial disclosure forms by senior managers. Turnaround times have also improved in some areas of service delivery. For an example, the average time taken to issue an ID book has been reduced from about 150 days to about 30 days. The average time taken to process an application for a social grant decreased from 30 days in 2010 to 21 days in 2012. There has also been an improvement in the average time taken for police to respond to calls for assistance. However, there is still much room to improve in departments, particularly in areas such as payment of suppliers within 30 days. Comrades, another crucial establishment in the presidency referred to in the ANC manifesto is the National Planning Commission that the President launched in 2009. The NPC this year produced the country's groundbreaking National Development Plan, a major achievement for the fourth administration. The plan is comprehensive and covers a number of sectors. These include tackling the problems of poverty, inequality, and unemployment, infrastructure, education and skills development, small business development, education, and the national health insurance. We now have a plan that has been welcomed by all sectors of society and not just government and the ruling party alone. Comrades, when we took the decision on national development planning, we're very conscious of the fact that, firstly, the transition to a national democratic society will face complex challenges which cannot be addressed on an ad hoc fashion or solely left to the forces of the markets. We knew that the existence of a national planning mechanism will ensure that there is coherent program and strategic discipline within the state and hopefully eliminate silos. It is important to underline this point, comrades, because the coming into being of the national plan is absolutely an important development in the country. In many places, plans of this nature come from either government or from the ruling party. This has emerged from South Africans. That becomes very important. It was not worked on by government or the party. You had a commission that was out there, which was told they must be objective, they must be critical, because we want a plan for the country, not a plan for the party, but a plan for the country. And therefore, commissioners came from different disciplines, expertise and talent. And this was very important because for a country to have a plan that is embraced by everyone is absolutely important, because besides solving the problems in government, to working in silos in different departments, you actually make different levels of government, national, provincial, and local, to work towards one plan, to implement one plan. Even the private sector, in their own ways, as they are doing their own business, they must know where the country is going. So this is an important achievement of the country. But it means the African National Congress as a ruling party now that the plan is there, has to hold it in both hands. And therefore the commissions must discuss it fully, because it is important. It is important also with regard to the programs that we have come up with, because they must be part of the plan. There's nothing that must go in any other direction. Anything that we do must enhance the plan. We are given a responsibility to lead on that one. And therefore, we should discuss and pronounce at the end of this conference, what is our plan, about the national plan? As the ruling party, what is it and how is the government supposed to implement it? Absolutely important. We knew that the plan would help us a great deal. Fortunately, by the time the plan came, we had programs, clear programs, like the New Growth Path and many others. Ours is to discuss how these are married so that they produce this thing that everybody agrees to. Absolutely important when we discuss the economic aspects in our commissions. Also, our economy is integrated in the global economy, which often exposes us to turbulences and uncertainties, such as the present global economic crisis. In such conditions, it is easy to lose sight of our vision and strategic priorities in favor of short-term solutions. Having a national strategic vision as a country helps us stay on track. Thirdly, we must accept that the process of overcoming unemployment, poverty, and inequality, of building a national democratic society will be long and hard. It's not an overnight affair. It is for this reason that we should always make sure that our people, the motive forces, remain mobilized and focused around our national development vision. Otherwise, society may lose sense of direction. The long duration of our transition also means that our movement must consistently provide leadership to society and to the state. Having a long-term planning blueprint creates certainty about where we are going and how we intend to get there. Comrades, we look to the NDP and economic programs to help us resolve the impact of inequality, which remains deep and glaring as revealed in Census 2011 income levels. The income of the average white household remains 6 times that of the average African household. The average annual African household income is 60,613, and the white household income is at 365,164 rand. Close to 1.9 million African households reported no income at all, indicating the challenges we face. Comrades, we discuss our economic development plans in the middle of a global economic crisis in Europe and the United States, our big exporter partners. The big emerging economies are also slowing down. The atmosphere is not too rosy. In addition, we had our country's credit rating downgraded by 2 rating agencies recently. We'll not delve into the reasons for downgrading, but we want to dismiss the perceptions that our country is falling apart because of the downgrades. We continue to do our development work. We continue to plan for a recovery. Today, the ratings agencies and investors are asking whether the ANC can continue to manage this economy so that we can grow and create jobs, manage our debt, and provide policy certainty. Yes, the ANC will continue to provide strong economic leadership and steer our economy boldly, and we do have a plan to grow the economy and create jobs. Central to that plan is our overarching national development plan, which clearly identifies our challenges, but also our opportunities to transform the economy and build a thriving developmental state. The destination we are heading towards is a mixed economy, where the state, private capital, cooperative, and other forms of social ownership complement each other in an integrated way to eliminate poverty and foster shared economic growth. Some of the instruments we are using within the NDP framework is our new growth path, which identifies the drivers of job creation. These are agriculture, infrastructure, agro-processing and rural development, mining and beneficiation, manufacturing, and green economy and tourism. We launched an ambitious infrastructure program, which is gathering momentum every day. Large public investments in energy, ports, rail lines, and roads will help alleviate supply bottlenecks in the economy. The Presidential Infrastructure Coordination Commission adds a value to the National Development Plan in the manner in which it coordinates all infrastructure projects across municipalities, provinces, and national governments. Our industrial and trade policies are also active and well-resourced. These include the Industrial Policy Action Plan, the Manufacturing Competitiveness Program, and others, informed by Polokwane Economic Transformation Resolution on State-Owned Enterprises and Development Finance Institutions. We have begun the Reorient Development Finance Institutions such as the IDC to place jobs at the center of their mandate. We established the Presidential State-Owned Enterprise Review Committee, which undertook a study of state-owned enterprises, including the role of SOEs in a developmental state. Issues that were looked at included governance, ownership, oversight, establishment and disestablishment, management, remuneration, effectiveness and efficiency, funding, and viability. The report covers over 700 SOEs and public entities, including the regulatory framework. In addition, we are in the process of amending the Broad-Based Black Economic Empowerment Act and have also agreed to revise the points in the scorecards so that the prioritized local industrial development skills and small business development can be dealt with properly. Comrades, the Polokwane Economic Resolution calls for an economy that is integrated with the SADC region. Last year, South Africa hosted 26 heads of state and government, convened to launch talks on a free trade area stretching from Cape to Cairo and comprising of 600 million Africans. Major investments have also taken place in industrial and business activities on the continent by South Africans in the public and private sectors. Our focus is now on further industrialization of the continent to expand growth drivers beyond mining, oil, and agriculture. The massive growth in African consumption provides a source of demand for African factories. Comrades and friends, a particularly important part of ANC policies has been to emphasize the economic South in global affairs. This includes increasing South-South trade. These concerns were highlighted again in the Polokwane resolutions. I'm pleased to say that we are making solid progress. Last year, South Africa joined the BRICS grouping, which brings together China, Russia, India, and Brazil in a forum that meets annually at heads of state level and develops common positions on social, economic, and political issues. In 2013, we will host the first BRICS summit to be held on the African soil. These developments coincide with the significant expansion in our trade with the BRICS countries, and with the growth in the economic weight of BRICS in the global system. Comrades, global conditions might make our task and all